Maybe we start now.
Okay. In 20 minutes, 20 seconds, sir.
Just worry that my area will have dark cloud.
A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in today. Hope you are having a pleasant day. It's great to be back again this week with another episode of the Strata Talk Show. With that, I would like to welcome everyone to the 20th episode of the Strata Talk Show, brought to you by the Excel Academy of Real Estate. In this talk show, we will be discussing issues and cases related to the management of stratified developments with various industry professionals. Joining us today, we have Mr. Kuan You Wai, who will speak on the topic of managerial responsibilities and maintenance techniques in dealing with interfloor leakages. If you have any questions for Mr. Kwan, feel free to leave them in the Facebook comment section below, which will be addressed in the Q&A section at the end of the show. Without further ado, join me at welcoming Mr. Kuan Yu Wai.
Hello, good afternoon. So I hope you can hear me clear and loud. Okay,
Yes, loud and clear.
next page. Maybe. Okay, I'm originally I'm a contractor who repair buildings, and most of the time I repair leakages. So over the years, I have accumulated sufficient knowledge and experience, and doing it hand-on as well as doing it in a campus level in my postgrad study. So along the way, I have acquired a number of credentials, and now I have also become a speaker in interfloor leakage for the tribunal and commercial commissioner of buildings. Next page. Next, please. So when it comes to interflow leakage, there are three laws that is related to interflow leakage. So namely, Housing Development Control and Licensing Act and Strata Management Act, as well as the Strata Management regulations. So next page, please. Okay, when we talk about interflow leakage, according to the Strata Management Act, is evidence of dampness, moisture, and water penetration. But of course, the first thing that we will have to consider is who pay in which type of situation. And as a result, the definition of common property is very important. Common property, according to Strata Management Act, is not inside the parcel and used by more than one parcels. Okay, but in reality, it actually there's some area that it crashed, So I will show you later on. Next slide, please. Okay, this is Strata Management Act SOP when it comes to interflow leakage, which I have summarized in one chart. This chart, I understand, is very useful because I have also highlighted the relevant section. So in order to explain this chart, perhaps you need to print out later and look into it that in a clearer way. Firstly, when there is a receipt of complaint in 7 days or as far as practicable, property manager need to go down and do inspection. So during the inspection, there are 4 things that need to be considered. So firstly, is the building shared by more than one unit? Secondly, is it in the parcel or not inside the parcel? Thirdly, is if it's actually happened during default liability period. If it happened during default liability period, then the case will be referred eventually to the developer. That's how the Housing Development Act come into this. Subsequently, upon inspection, if there is a need to access to the upper unit or the neighboring unit, then the property manager need to serve notice, 7 days notice, so that he can have access. After the notice, the house owner need to uh, give notice, um, failing which they will be subject to penalty in terms of finance of 50,000, not more than 50,000, or 3 years imprisonment. So far, the law has not been implemented for this part because it is putting people into jail, for a small issue of leakages. And then if there is any further dispute, one can refer to the COB. And in the event that the parcel owner for some reason cannot afford to do, or have a lot of other reason, the management will have to take up the repair work and charge back to the account of the particular parcel. Okay, so if there is still dispute, when the COB intervene, then the COB can appoint a surveyor, architect, or engineer to carry out the inspection, and the fee involved will be borne by the parties who is responsible to rectify the defect. So okay, after that, or after all the inspection in 5 days, the building manager need to issue Form 28. Form 28 will tell who is the party responsible for the repair, as well as the reason. But I always advise property manager, if you don't have any knowledge in and tool in leak detection, try to write a general description, because there was some incidents whereby COB called me up and asked, "Hey, Kuan, some property manager fill in the form wrongly, and people has worked on it. So what happened next, you see?" So my answer is, well, property manager have to take responsibility to their own words, you see. So try to put a general description. If you see slab leaking, just write slab leaking. If you see pipe leaking, just write pipe leaking, So don't go to waterproofing leaking or whichever part of the building, okay? So next slide, please. Okay, I would like to share with you. Let's say when A is the vertical pipe from the water tank down. So when A leaks, then because it's shared by 2 units, then of course many property, the MO will have to pay for it. The management have to pay for it. But let's say B, location B is after the T, before the water meter. A lot of people they have been thinking that before meter or after meter. Actually, that is only relevant to the bulk meter, whereby the Water Supply Act is applicable. Here in the strata, where Strata Management Act is applicable, B is not shared by anyone. It's designated to 1 unit only. And as such, even though before water meter, the relevant parcel owner need to be responsible. And let's say C is a pipe of that traveled along the walkway before it enter into parcel. Let's say C leak. C is in the common area but not shared. Bear in mind the dominating factor when we consider who pay is share or not share. It's not the location alone, you see. I have encountered property manager that say, "Hey, common area, management pay." No, in fact, common area, if it's not shared, parcel owner pay. Next slide, please. Okay, this is a toilet inside the parcel. When A, the horizontal pipe leak, A, is it share? No, it's not share. But B, is it share? Bear in mind, pipe shaft or the box sub in layman term, it actually have many common pipes which is share but inside the parcel. So what I want to tell you is, when it is shared, although it's inside the parcel, the management need to pay for the repair. So there is the confusion that is quite common in the industry. Okay, next slide, please. This is Form 28. So it must be issued after the full inspection, upstairs and downstairs. Bear in mind, there is a legal presumption that say water travel from top to bottom. So do not fear to issue Form 28. Do not feel that you need to serve friendly notice before you issue Form 28, because when there is sour situation or when there is dispute, and if you don't comply to the SOP of the Strata Management Act when it comes to interfloor leakage, and you issue the Form 28, let's say 2 weeks or 3 weeks later, well, you can be subject to being sued in the tribunal, because and all the SOP must be conformed, and there inside the SOP there is no friendly notice needed. Okay, so do not create your own SOP lah. Just follow the law accordingly, step by step. Next slide, please. So do not try to modify the form because this is a gazetted form. So okay, let's say if the property manager hire me to do leak detection before the intervention of COB, who will pay for the fee of the expert? According to Section 59, Sub 2D, any expenses incurred in the rectification of the parcel, the management have the right to recover the cost by charging to the respective account. As such, rectification, bear in mind, inspection is part of rectification. So the property manager can adopt this clause when it comes to paying the expert. So because if you don't take the initiative to pay the expert, hoping that eventually the respective house owner will pay, people who is like me who do leak detection, my report is not favoring to the person who pay me, So in most of the case, they will not pay. They decline to pay. If the property manager doesn't take the initiative to pay me, I will not interested to do the job. So this how it goes. Next page, please. Okay, when there is emergency according to Strata Management Act, it is something that happened that can endanger the safety of the residents and the building. Forcible entry is allowed, but I have joined some of the forcible entry exercise in Ampang area. Bear in mind, if the case is not very urgent, you can actually request a COB to bring in police from KBKT to escort you in. If let's say the situation is so urgent that forcible entry is inevitable, I would always urge you to bring along your committee, your guard, your neighbor to witness the operation, so that there is no allegation later on. So and then of course, when it comes to law of thoughts, even though you are a neighbor, not to say if you are a manager, when you see dripping water, you actually have a duty to put a bucket under it to mitigate the damage of the leaking. So, and then in the event that if I cut the water can stop. Can I cut the water? From human basic right point of view, you should not cut water. But if you need to cut water, please supply temporarily water supply so that people affected will still have the access to the basic human need, which is the water. So next slide, please. In the event of pipe burst, fire insurance in general have coverage for the damage caused by the burst pipe, be it burst domestic pipe or burst sewerage pipe or whatever burst pipe. So long that it is a burst pipe, I understand is covered in the fire insurance. So, but I will urge you to look into the insurance policy and clarify it. Next slide, please. Okay, is interflow leakage a concern? For your information, water is the factor that started to cause the germ to multiply in accelerated rate. So when there is excessive dampness, your kuman, your cooler, your virus, all will be growing in a very speedy way. So uh, as adult, we have some level of immune system, but children, the pregnant, the old, and the sick, they have less immune system. So as a result, any excessive dampness, even though without visible mold, is unhygienic to people with compromised immune system. So next page, please. Next slide, please. So this is mold. Mold actually is a microscopic plant. It have root, it have trunk, it have seed, and water is the condition, the variable condition that can cause it to grow. Oxygen, nutrient, and temperature is readily available. We cannot control. Only water we can control. Next slide, please. Okay, why do we during the leaking situation at the dam spot, we only see the circular, colorful sometimes. Most of the time it's black, circular stain that look like growing in time. So in fact, we why we see mold and not bacteria, in fact they come together, okay? It's simply because bacteria and virus is much smaller. Even dust mite is even much smaller than the mold. That's why we see mold, but in fact they come together in a battalion of biological contaminant. Next slide, please. So this is a report from Institute of Medicine USA to tell you scientifically that yes, mold is hazardous. It's a health hazard. Next slide, please. And beside mold, of course, building excessive dampness can cause a lot of damage to the building. Material like timber, like cement, like concrete will expand when it is wet. And other material, metal like rust, like steel, like other metals, it will start to rust. And when it rusts, it will also expand, and started to lose the structural integrity of the particular metal. Okay. So next slide, please. Why there is leakage? According to this kitab semua bocor, the so-called kitab semua bocor, okay, construction waterproofing handbook. Why there is leak? There must be water, there must be a force, and there must be cavity or breach to allow the water to go through. Next slide, please. This is very true for the liquid water ingress. For condensation, we need to understand condensation from the point of building size of airflow, heat flow, and moisture flow. This is all basic elements or basic principle of physics, which actually applicable when it comes to analysis of condensation. Next slide. Environmental Protection Agency also have their moisture control principle. So control liquid water, control condensation, and in the area that is prone to dampness, do not use material like timber, like fabric, like carpet. In this type of material that the mold can start to grow easily or start to dilapidate easily. Next slide, please. So this is a systematic approach when it comes to investigation of leakages. We are approaching to the technical side now. Okay, so we need to access to the site. We need to see the pattern of dripping water. If the dripping water, uh, there is it's not it is not continuous. Okay, so sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't happen, and if it happen only during rain, then there must be either roof leakage, rainwater downpipe, gutter, or external wall crack. So for leaking that is continuous, then there could be most likely domestic water pipe leaking or water pring failure or waste pipe. It depends on the smell as well. So and then we need to look into we need to interview the parcel owner. We need to check with the service crew or the technician, and then we do inspection, and if possible, we do some investigative testing to have more understanding and more holistic and accurate understanding of the cause of leaking. So then need to do the report and the rectification. Next slide, please. So this is some of the equipment that we use to detect moisture. Okay, something like a moisture meter. This moisture meter, there are two major type. The first type use ultrasound. The second type use an anode and cathode. Look at the pin. Look at the pin of the moisture meter. Is one side is anode, one side is cathode. So when there is, so when you put the pin onto the surface, if there is any water, then electric will be conducted. That's how we measure water with electricity. Okay, so if there is any water, the more electricity conducted. So it's all come to the principle of resistance as well as electric flow. Next slide, please. Okay, moisture meter. Infrared imaging. Infrared. You see when you go to the restaurant during MCO, people will put something to measure your forehead. That's actually infrared. Okay, but it only have one point. Our engineering type of infrared, it comprises of thousands of points, and the different temperature is represented by different colors. Okay, so this is how I look like in infrared. Okay, so the cold, there is water inside the building, but for external, it actually go reverse. We actually look for hotspot. All this can be done with infrared, and nowadays we have drone infrared. So the infrared is so powerful. When that is added with the wing, it's like a tiger with wing, right? So okay, endoscope like this. Where I connect it to my cable, then it become camera ULA, which I can slot into any narrow area or for investigation. Next slide, please. And the next one is pressure gauge testing. Pressure gauge testing is equipment that we use to verify the water tightness of domestic pipe. So there are two model. One come with a container, so we pump in water without the handy lever. Okay. Another one is just the pressure gauge and the relevant valve. This one we can tap into the water pressure of the existing building and do the pressure gauge testing. Next slide, please. I will show you more how it works from the diagram later on. Wall scanner is a ultrasound equipment that can tell me what is inside the wall or concrete. It can be plastic, it can be wood, it can be metal, ferrous metal, non-ferrous metal. So it's quite useful. And let's say for underground, how do you detect underground? You see, doctor use stethoscope. We also use stethoscope, but our stethoscope is as big as my head. So we can listen to the ground up to 10 feet deep using stethoscope. I will show you more diagram later on. Next slide, please. Okay, we can also extract sample from the site and send it to lab to see if there is any chloride. if there is any nitrate, because groundwater have nitrate. Domestic water have small quantity of chlorine, but seawater have high quantity of chlorine. So there is a difference between that, okay? And there is a lot of different implications. When it comes to pH, when it comes to wastewater, wastewater have 𝐒𝐭𝐫. So we can use this type of parameter to identify what type of water is that. This is particularly useful for basement that emerge in the basement, okay? So, okay, just now we talk about moisture meter. So if we have a too big moisture meter with too big pin, okay, and bear in mind, most of our water-proofing material are insulated. It doesn't conduct electric. So if we spray water on our water-proofing area, and we use these two probes to walk along, touch the waterproof and walk along, if there is any earthing, there will be some beep sound, and you can be alerted that the cavity is actually there. That is for low voltage electronic leak detector. For high voltage one, you can see the spark, you know, jumping into the cavities. This is how leak detection technology work, okay, in developed country. So far that I know, this technology hasn't reached Malaysia, but I also don't encourage it to have it because it's too expensive. Next slide, please. Okay, when you open the ceiling, you'll be having a nightmare. There are so many possibility of water sources, be it pipe, be it aircon, be it waterproof external wall roof, even firefighting pipe contain a lot of water. Next slide, please. Okay, this is how waterproofing look like. Okay, in 3D, you can see it actually extended to the pipe inside. And from this 2D diagram, it shows that it need to go into your room 1 feet at the door area. Okay, and it need to be extended up to 6 feet high at the shower cubicle. For the area that is not subject to water splashing during shower, the upturn on the wall is only 1 feet, 300 mm is required. So next slide, please. When there is leakage, how do we know, how can we confirm it? Okay, firstly, this is a actual site of mine in balcony. So I block the balcony with newspaper covered by the black garbage plastic bag, and I measure the moisture level at the lower floor with water stain before the flood test. According to ASTM D5957, the flood test need to be conducted with minimum 24 hours with less than 4 inch of water, and regular monitoring is required. Why regular monitoring is required? Let me share my experience with you. There was an incident whereby my flood test was too successful, and the water soaked into the plaster ceiling. The whole toilet plaster ceiling collapsed, causing more damage. In another case, the water went into the DB box downstairs. Luckily, no electrocution. Otherwise, I will not be speaking here. You will not know me. So these are all the risks, inherent risks of conducting flood tests, which you need to be aware of. So when you do flood tests, if you cannot be there, make sure the house owner are there and tell them, if the water receipt, please help me to fill in water. If you can see a lot of water coming down, can you quickly call me up and I can come here to verify, there is a obvious increase in dampness using moisture meter, so that you can stop the flood test. Okay, you do not need to wait till the secondary damage arrive. Okay, next slide, please. Next slide, please. So this is how we seal the water floor trap for the purpose of flood testing. You see a number of people, they use transparency to cover the floor trap. Usually this not correct, because if you look at the diagram, we should actually block it inside the floor trap the way that I show. Okay, so next slide, please. Okay, there's some method nowadays that apply epoxy coating on the toilet. It's quite a cost-effective manner, but it's not a durable one because good waterproofing should be elastic and chemical resistant. Epoxy lack the elasticity, although it's very chemical resistant. So that's why because our building actually expand and move one. So when there is no elasticity, when it crack easily, then water will start to penetrate again. Next slide, please. And PU grouting is very debatable, right? Everyone knows that it's no good, but everyone is doing it simply because it's the cheapest way. Being an infrared inspector, I use infrared to monitor PU grouting. And from infrared point of view, the dampness actually spread. So when it spread until it reached the next cavity, water start to leak again. That's why waterproofing warranty carry 1 month to 3 months warranty only. Simply because it's not a way to resolve it to the root cause, Unless you can prove that the crack is no longer moving, no longer dynamic, and the source has been rectified. Then you should seal up the cavity with PU grouting. Next slide, please. Pipe. All type of pipe: waste pipe, domestic pipe, AWM pipe, common waste pipe, rainwater down pipe. Next slide. Okay, so we talk about waste pipe for the time being. Okay, waste pipe typically crack, especially at the elbow due to impact. Okay, it's thinner as compared to the cast iron pipe next to it. But cast iron pipe, after its service lifespan, it have a tendency to crack by itself due to corrosion. And the third photo is actually a vertical crack from top to bottom of a cast iron pipe. Imagine when iron expand, when iron rust, it expand. But when it start to expand, it will push each other, and when it have nowhere to push each other, it back start to crack like this. Okay, next slide. And if I can pour in red hot water into the drain pipe, I can detect it so easily with infrared imaging. Okay, next slide. And in one of the cases, I actually needed an endoscope to check it because the leaking is right behind the box up. So without endoscope, I really cannot find, or I will have much more difficulty to find it. This is the real life case that I attended back in the KLCC enclave area. Next slide. This is how we rectified the pipe. We replaced the cast iron pipe to the UPVC pipe, and this is my slide as well. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. For some area that the pipe penetrate into concrete element, we are not allowed to hack, But this crack is just right above the beam, so I conveniently use underwater epoxy to seal it up. And I discovered underwater epoxy come in different grade. The very good grade, it really works so perfectly, because epoxy etch into the surface of whatever surface that they have contact. It etch and it hold, and it become as hard as stone. So far, all this job have no complaint all thereafter until today. I've been in the industry for more than 22 years, and this is really work. Okay, for crack pipe that doesn't have pressure. So okay, so this is quite a useful method. Next slide, please. So when there is a block pipe, these are the beside the rotan. These are the three way that you can clear the blockage easily. One of them is kinetic water ram that harness water air pressure. We pump the air from this black color handle at the back, beside the trigger. So we keep on pumping air until the air pressure becomes so high, and once we trigger, it can travel into any shape and any distance. It's so fast that uh, it goes so fast. The small pipe horizontal, vertical to it, the floor trap, it doesn't reduce the pressure. And secondly, high pressure water jetting. Then look at this clearly. 1 point shoot to the front and 3 points shoot to the back. It actually moved into the pipe because 3 points shoot to the back diagonally. It doesn't damage the plastic pipe, but and it will bring the hose into the drain by itself, because it pushed to the back. And thirdly, is the mechanical snake router. This type of motorized rotan, when you install different adapter or head at the front, it can break stone, it can clear the leaf or root. So it's also quite a powerful method to clear pipe easily. Next slide, please. Another situation in our pump room, without leaking, there's so extensive corrosion, which soon the peak corrosion will happen and start to leak. This is simply because of poor ventilation and the dense and thick gas, chlorine gas. When look at this, the stainless steel tank. Stainless steel tank without paint is the first place water will condensate at night. So when water encounter chlorine gas, it becomes chloride acid and start to damage metal, start to damage concrete. Bear in mind, chloride acid can even corrode gold. So this is something that one need to be aware of when you install stainless steel pipe or stainless steel fitting into the tank, into the pump room, because the ventilation of chlorine gas is not only hazardous to human, but also hazardous to metal. Okay, next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, PVC pipe, domestic pipe, burst. Why it burst? Next slide. Okay, Suranjaya Premata and Negara have recommendation. Parcel residential unit, high-rise residential unit, should have water pressure above 10 meter head, less than 30 meter head. If the pressure is too high, a pressure reducing valve should be employed. This is what is extracted from the Uniform Technical Guide of Water Reticulation and Plumbing, published by SPAM, that you can download from internet. I think, if not mistaken, this is page 59. So, okay, what I want to show you is pressure reducing valve. If not serviced in due time, twice a year recommended by some manufacturer, 3 times once by the other manufacturer. So check with your manufacturer how often it should be serviced. And if you don't service it, the mechanism inside it will go haywire. Sometimes the water pressure can become so high, sometimes the water pressure can drop so drastically. Okay, the diaphragm of the pressure reducing valve need to be replaced every 4 to 5 years, subject to the respective manufacturer. Next slide, please. And the industry has been practicing wrongly, because they like to set the pressure reducing valve to 2 bar. So bear in mind, every drop of each story, there will be a drop of water pressure by 0.3 bar. An increase of water pressure by 0.3 bar. That's why in the first 3 highest floor, where the water pressure is not enough, we need a pump. Okay, After the first 3 floor, then you go by gravity, and you can see 10 meter head is 0.98 bar. 30 meter head is 2.94 bar. So we put it to the closest decimal. 1.2 bar is safe. 2.7 bar is also safe. Okay, but if you set it at 2 bar at the 5th floor, the ground floor will suffer from high water pressure. I would like to share with you there was a year in 2019 where all the president and I had a president. We have come to a conclusion unanimously to say that in the event someone go into the unit and discover the water pressure is more than 3 bar, any burst pipe management will manage and maintained by management. If management doesn't supply the safe water pressure, water with safe water pressure and pipe burst, and I want to share with you water heater, faucet, all other I think toiletry utilities is designed to work in 3 bar or less than 3 bar. Imagine if water heater bursts, the water may go into the wires and it can cause electrocution as well. No? So this is not something that you should take it. Water pressure management. Next slide, please. And KPKT recommend cuci tangki setiap tahun. So can I know how many of you have their water tank ever washed? if the water pressure is so bad, it's detrimental to your PRV. Okay. So next slide, please. So when you can hear sound, water hammering sound, especially the inside the pump room where from the ground floor you pump to the higher floor water tank. When the pump stop, water will push back. Due to gravity, it will bang the pipe and cause a lot of hammering. The hammering can be as heavy as 600 pounds, like a big hammer banging into your pipe, waiting for time to burst. So when you have hammering, you do need a water hammer arrestor which have a layer of air, and when the pressure surge, the piston will move around and the air will become an absorber to absorb the pressure surge. Okay, next slide, please. So, how do we check? Next slide, please. This is the pressure gauge testing equipment that is meant for litigation purpose. We actually bring in a laptop, connect it to the data logger to plot the pressure or the water pressure throughout 1 hour to see if there's any drop in pressure. Okay, this is the setting of pressure gauge testing for litigation purpose. Next slide. So I would like to share with you what I have done at the actual site. Okay, this is the typical configuration of domestic pipe for. Okay, in this toilet, okay, let's say it only have a toilet. In this toilet, there are 2 valves, 1 valve for cold water, 1 valve for hot water. So if I connect my pressure gauge to point A1 and close A2, A3, and then I also close valve A. So when I pressurize, pump in water from my water container and the handy pump from point A1, the pressure will raise up because it's a closed loop. So when the pressure raise up, let's say 1 bar, 2 bar, and I shut down my pressure gauge testing kit, it will become a closed loop, If there is no leakage, the pressure will not drop. If there is drop in water pressure from the pressure gauge testing kit that I can observe, then there must be some leakage in this zone comprising from A1 to A3. This zone is having some form of leakages. And bear in mind, if you have a water heater, which look like this type of water heater above the ceiling level, your pressure gauge cannot pressurize water. This type of pipe simply because inside the water tank there is one layer of air. Pressure gauge testing kits. So next slide, please. Okay, this is actual site. My pressure gauge testing kit, I connected 12:11 p.m. 2 bar. In 1 minute, it dropped by 0.7 bar, confirming that there is a leakage in the concealed pipe. When you do all this, all the faucet must be closed tightly, okay? And then you need to check your pressure gauge, is it leaking, which is visible that you can check, you must check. Make sure there's no leakage. From experience, we actually need to release the pressure. Let's say after we confirm there is leakage, we need to pressurize the pump again up to 2 bar. Okay. Sorry, I rephrase. Let's say if there is no leaking, there are two possibilities. First possibility is, there memang no leaking lah. Second possibility is the valve that control the incoming water pipe actually leak. Whatever that leak out from the pipe is replenished from the main pipe. So when we reduce the water pressure to 1 bar, okay, we need to let's say original 2 bar, right? So no leakage. So in the event that there is no drop of water pressure, we need to reduce the release a bit of water to bring down the pressure to 1 bar. And wait for a while to see if it return to 2 bar. If it return to 2 bar, it means that the water that leaked out have been replenished back due to the faulty stopcock from the main water supply. Okay, next slide, please. So the issue is, we know this zone is leaking. Where is the leak? Imagine if we can fill in ice water in our water container that I mentioned just now, that I showed just now, and we pump in ice water into the pipe. Bear in mind, the pipe is very close to the surface. If we can pump in ice water to the pipe and cool down the pipe, we can use infrared to see the pipe. Where is the pipe leaking? And you can see from this picture, the pipe is actually traveling at the corner and bend 90 degrees to the other side. Stoner. Okay. Next slide, please. I'm sorry, raining sound too much. Okay, this side, this is another toilet. I have cooled down the pipe and I use wall scanner to confirm, yes, there is a pipe. And if the pipe is leaking, you can see a big patch of blue color, and that is where your plumber should hang and rectify the pipe. Okay, next slide, please. So, okay, let's say a huge estate. How many acres? Okay, suddenly your pipe 1,000, you jump to 3,000. Next month 5,000. Somewhere is leaking, but in the whole estate How to find? There is a technology to find it, okay? Firstly, we use a ground penetrating radar to detect all the location of the underground pipe. After that, we use a sound logger to to put into different chamber. When we start to trigger the water burst sound, by opening the resuming the water supply, the the speed of the burst sound traveling to the logger at the left and traveling to the logger on the right, the difference of the timing, we can estimate where is the uh, burst underground pipe. And from there, at midnight, then we will bring in our stethoscope type of sound detector to confirm there is a leakage at the location that the computer generate for us. This technology is so advanced, there's no standard, no specific standard to regulate it, simply because it's too advanced. So, water water uh, water authority actually employ this type of water engineer to detect their leakage along the main road, for the underground pipe. So I work with a number of them to help the industry. Next slide, please. Okay, condensation. Aircon pipe. The colder the area, the more likelihood it will condensate. Next slide. Bear in mind, aircon have chiller type of aircon, the centralized aircon have four functions. It dry up the air, it filter the air, it cool down the air, and it need to insert positive air pressure so that the natural fresh air, which is untreated, humid, and come with dust, do not enter into the building. But split unit aircon serve two functions. It cool down the air and it dry up the air. The colder it is, the drier it must be, otherwise it will condensate. So condensation is a factor of surface temperature as well as ambient humidity. Okay, so let's say if your copper pipe is not well insulated, then you have condensation. And in Malaysia, the amount will be very substantial. Okay, and our aircon man like to wrap the aircon joint insulation, the joint of the insulation. So they press out the air, which is a good insulator. And let's say the third photo, if the air conducting is not supported well and it vibrate and it can break, So when the cold air release from that broken insulation, the bottom part of the floor will the it's not this part, it's actually the downstairs will have one big patch of even droplets of water in a big area, like the fourth photo. Okay, this is a typical type of situation under operation theater, under computer center. Okay, where aircon is open extensively. So next slide, please. Next slide, please. Now, I would like to show you how proper insulation should look like. That doesn't press out the air. Next slide, please. And in one of the server room, I actually have done this rectification by installing rock wool and canvas. And I make sure the canvas is airtight so that the humid air will not have a chance to touch the cold surface above the rock wool. That's how it works. And until today, it worked perfectly well. And this is the effective way of handling condensation. Only insulation can handle it. Next slide, please. And of course, external wall crack in Malaysia, due to the excessive heat, we always have this type of crack on the highest floor under the flat roof. Okay, we also have all this type of crack at the interface of brick and metal frame, or brick and the concrete element, concrete component. Next slide, please. All this is because different building material have different coefficient of thermal expansion. So when we assemble it in different orientation, when it expand and contract, this wall will crack very badly. So HKCIT is one of the standard used by adopting the technology of infrared imaging to detect dampness and crack surfaces with infrared. It's very convenient and very efficient and very accurate as well. Next slide, please. And if we have this type of building facade, oh, even Superman or Spider-Man cannot reach. Maybe only Superman can reach. Okay, so always advise owner do not build this type of building, which is very extensive when it comes to the cost of maintenance. Next slide, please. So now this is an actual site where I measure the temperature, and this happen very common in Malaysia. At the flat roof, especially if the flat roof have a protruding building like a lift motor room. So and this type of crack is actually dynamic. I measure the crack of a small lift motor room. It expand and contract at 0.5 mm between 8:30 to 1:30 p.m. So the crack is actually expanding, contracting, expanding, contracting. And do not try to fill it up with cement, because once you block the area of the movement induced by the heat, it will crack further. You should always use elastic material to seal it up. So next slide, please. Oh, 58 minutes already. So this is the degree of severity of crack. Next slide. It have implication of the rectification method. And of course, roof. Roof is a major issue of leaking. We have flat roof, we have pitch roof, we have metal roof. Next slide. And due to the environmental pollution and the heat wave, our building roof is subject to a lot of accelerated deterioration. Imagine places like 𝐼𝐭𝐫, meteorological department discover the first few minutes of pH is actually 2. How corrosive it is, So our concrete, our metal roof can go on easily in this area. Next slide. So there are 7 family of waterproofing. Each of them have different characteristic: elasticity, stability to heat and ultraviolet, and some of them scientifically has been proven not suitable for Malaysia. So some of them is flammable. So Uniform Building Bylaw disallow all this. So as a building manager, please do your homework to help the committee to select proper system. Next slide. Next slide, please. And torch membrane is the most common way of rectification, but scientific paper have shown it's not suitable to the tropics simply because bitumen, the nature of bitumen is not ultraviolet stable as well as heat stable. That's why you can see our tar road. In the first year it was black color. Second and third year become gray color. In the fourth year, it become white color or light gray color. And in the fifth year, full of pothole. Bitumen is not suitable for the tropical. In the developed country where the cold day is more than the hot day, it's okay. It's okay, Next slide, please. So a lot of coating system is also not suitable. And we also use infrared imaging to detect the water pocket. I will explain to you in further detail shortly. And for coating type, we actually need a bond breaker for area that is prone to cracking and movement. Okay, next slide, please. And this is one of the sites that I use infrared imaging. You see, compared to dry and the wet concrete due to waterproofing failure, on surface there is no surface bonding water. Okay, because the water is inside the concrete. So under the hot sun, when dry concrete and wet concrete absorb the same heat, same amount of heat, in the evening the heat will dissipate faster in the dry concrete area, but in the concrete area with water pocket underneath the surface, it becomes hotter, simply because water can retain the heat longer, as compared to dry concrete. So at night 8 p.m., based on STMC 1153, we do infrared imaging uh, to detect the water pocket and to confirm it with this type of capacitant type of moisture meter that can penetrate up to 20 mm from the surface to confirm the availability of the water pocket. So this is a scientific way of uh, identifying leakage. And in this case, the leakage is due to cavity. We found poor workmanship and poor termination at the piping penetration. So, okay, next slide, please. And so far from my own research, I discover cation ethylene ester is by far the best and the most suitable type of waterproofing material in Malaysia because it reflects the heat, it cool down the surface by 10 degrees Celsius, and it is permanently elastic. And elasticity is very important when it comes to our roof because of the excessive heat. In University Malaya, a group of students and we did an experiment in a small concrete roof in University Malaya campus. We discovered at 1:30 p.m. the temperature was 82 degrees Celsius on average. 82 degrees Celsius, okay? At 4 a.m., it was at 17 degrees Celsius. So the difference from daytime to nighttime is 65 degrees. If you multiply it with coefficient of thermal expansion, it actually expand and contract. Next slide, please. That make elasticity so important. And if you need to refurbish your slab, try to make it the maintainable design like this, where in future you can easily dismantle the slab, the movable slab, check what is happening inside, and you can re-waterproof it easily with just the bituminous type of waterproofing. You see the air gap allowed ventilation. The thick concrete slab is an insulator against the heat, and the uh, I mean the bright color reflective actually reflective of the heat and the solar energy. So try to make it more maintainable design for the future, Then you can bring down the life cycle cost. So next slide, please. And in swimming pool, flat roof in swimming pool is very bad because do you know why you actually need to replenish the chlorine algae control agent every 2 days? Where the chlorine gone to? Chlorine is in the swimming pool, is volatile. Under the hot sun, it will evaporate. In 2 days' time, it's gone. And it is 2.5 times heavier than air. So it always float on the concrete deck. So when it encounter water, it becomes chloride acid, attack the reinforcement steel bar, attack your waterproofing and your concrete. So that's why in waterproofing in swimming pool, if it's not chemical resistant, it's disastrous. Okay, next slide. And it can cause damage to concrete, so badly like this, And this could be a structural issue, okay? But unfortunately, most of our structural engineers are not aware of corrosion engineering. Some of them don't even see corrosion as a risk, you see. Very sad to say, but this is known under uniform EN 1504, which I will explain to you in the next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, 𝐾PKT recommend in the event of diagnosis and repair of concrete, do comply to EN 1504. EN 1504 not only waterproof, but also corrosion control. So imagine if your water start to go into the concrete, the corrosion matrix has been formed, the anode and cathode side has been formed, the corrosion has started, even though you waterproof on top of the surface of the the swimming pool. Once the corrosion has started, the reinforcement steel bar will keep on expanding. It will expand up to 6.5 times of original size, cracking the concrete from inside. And this corrosion will continue, even though it will reduce in speed after you waterproof. So whatever you waterproof will soon crack. And there is an exclusion in any waterproofing warranty letter. Engineering fault or crack is an exclusion clause for their warranty. So as a building manager, do please do your homework to advise corrosion control as well as moisture control when it comes to re-waterproofing. Okay, next slide, please. So this is the typically how concrete is by corrosion. So when corrosion product, the rust start to expand, so the reinforcement steel bar will deplete in size, in diameter, so drop of tensile strength. Cracked concrete have no compressive strength. So overall, your tensile strength, your compressive strength start to drop, and yeah, then it will cause a lot of damage. Next slide, please. Corrosion control have a way to measure with half-cell corrosion mapping. I can do it. No, I'm a competent person to do it, as well as to test with rebound hammer. Because when the concrete crack, the first thing it happen is delamination. We can actually hear hollow sound when we knock on it. So if we discover corrosion have started, we can use rebound hammer to check the integrity of the compressive strength. Okay, next slide, please. And pitch roof, yeah, climate change has caused a lot of stronger wind. And if your wind is lifted by the wind, please find a way to enforce it like the way that I show it. This is actually based on a improvised British standard for roofing due to the climate change. So they have more clipping and enforcement system nowadays. And of course, pitch roof, clay tile or concrete tile can be repainted and refurbished to improve the porosity against the rainwater ingress. So next slide, please. Metal roof also have a method for refurbishment by applying a base sacrificial coating, primer, and then the finishing, like what I show in the diagram. Okay, and the use of light color for the metal roof is always encouraged due to the less deterioration as due to the reduction in the solar energy received due to because it's reflected. Okay, next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, on the flat roof, we check for the hotspot according to EF15 ASTM C1152. For the indoor environment, we check cold spot because in internal area is always cold, based on BSEN 13187. Next slide. And most recently, we discovered there are more rising water due to the rising water table. And Uniform Building Bylaw Section 84 Sub 4 disallow any dampness in basement simply because our building is not designed to be floating on the water. So if there is any discovery of water in your basement or your lift pit, you do need to do further study to see the pH as well as the type of pollutants inside the water sample. So we can understand the implication to the foundation. Next slide, please. So Whatever you have rectified, the place is full of germs if the dampness is there for more than 48 hours. Okay, so all this dampness, mold, virus, bacteria, even though you kill it, if you don't remove it physically out, by wiping it, by using HEPA vacuum to suck it, and uh, mold, be it alive or dead, is equally allergenic. That's why it need to be physically removed to return it to the original state or ecology with small quantity of mold and virus and bacteria only. Next slide, please. This is how we do mold remediation work to prevent cross-contamination using containment, using the fan to depressurize the area, as well as protecting our worker with all type of PPE. For this, for the big scale. For the small scale, next slide, please. I'm almost done. Um, this is a house belong to the husband is a doctor, the wife is a lawyer. So if I don't enter to do this sort of containment and remediation, the case will end up in the court. So beside having containment, I also have air filter. Next slide. I actually use a paint to encapsulate the mold, scrape it off physically, repair and flatten the surface, and repaint the wall. And yeah, by this method, the ecology can be returned to original. Okay, with small quantity of mold and bacterial spores in the environment only. Next slide. Bear in mind, we do not need to live in a clean room one. Okay, so we need to return the dam building into the natural ecology with small quantity of uh, contaminant only. So, in conclusion, water leakage is not a defect; it's a consequence of the defect. We need to address waterproofing. We need to address leaking. We can diagnose it with a lot of different methods, but all these scientific methods have their strength and weaknesses. We need to know all these strength and weaknesses to complement the use of all these methods. And durable, effective remediation address the root cause. Do not compromise to the cosmetic repair because it will soon come back. And whatever the rectification, whatever the repair work, it must have ended with a proper sanitizing method. At least use Dettol to wipe the whole house if possible, including the ceiling. Next slide. And I thank you for your patience. You can contact me or you can read my articles, in my blog or my iProperty platform. So any question that you think I can help, please contact me. So is there any question that you need to address?
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Kuan, for that very insightful talk. We have now reached the Q&A segment of this talk show, where Mr. Kuan will hopefully clarify any questions you have on today's topic. So the first question we have is from Mr. Chu Yong Tao, which is, must parcel owners allow access to the persons carrying out the inspection?
According to the act, yes, we always encounter some degil punya owner. This degil owner, in some of the tribunal cases that I got involved, I try to bring in scientific method to do inspection, even though I don't enter to the unit. But I have to rely on some of the legal principles like res ipsa law to use to isolate. Okay, something like there are only three possibility. So if I isolate the two, the last one must be the cause. So this is the use of legal principle to help us to build the case. So I do encounter cases that because they are not allowed to enter for some assessment, but I'm there to help them to fill in the form 28 to say that the water comes from this unit. Yeah. So there are some method to do it. But as I said, you must know the pro and cons of each method so that you can complement them. The strong complement the weak. So to derive a meaningful findings. Any other question?
All right, for the second question, we have a question from Miss Mizadi, which is parcel owners do not own anything else besides their allotted unit and must depend on mutual cooperation to maintain the condition of the property. In the absence of such cooperation, what resources do parcel owners have to prevent deterioration or damage to their property?
Yeah, that's why the law is here. Without the law, it was even worse. Where any dispute must be. That's why the tribunal is here to help to resolve all this. And there's one part. At the end, we still need to communicate, in a very in a conducive and solution. Because technically, it can be done. But if the upstairs have some problem, which I'm very good in solving, I'm very good in solving human dispute one, I like to study law because the law actually give me what to ask, what is reasonable in this sort of situation, you know, how we should communicate with each other by showing proof, by getting help to cool down the atmosphere so that everyone can communicate. Live in the stratified building. Um, Everyone know that your wall is my wall, my ceiling is your floor. Somehow one day I will also kena one. So I think communication is very important. Okay, the next question.
The next question is from Miss 𝐿𝐴𝐵, which is how if after the PM done inspection interfloor leakage, the upstairs owner doesn't want to sign the form 28, after that call also not answer, go to his unit also cannot find the owner. Then the owner says that he didn't receive the form from management.
Okay, Dr. Kam. This is Dr. Kam. Okay, Dr. Kam. Okay, firstly, Form 28 is not signed by the owner. Form 28 is signed by property manager. Okay, so the owner just have to receive it. But the SOP of serving notice will come into place. If a situation is very urgent, that you can prove it is detrimental or it can endanger the building or the resident, forcible entry is allowed. But as I said, whatever forcible entry is allowed, get or committee, get your neighbor to join you. You see, because let's say if the people say I hilang 100,000, I hilang berapa ratus ribu, then now you see. Secondly, uh, if it's not so urgent, COB can come in to the picture with their police to help you to escort in. So I did join some of the forcible entry operation, and after I got the entry, then I come up with the report. It is not still can be done. It's just a matter of the SOP that we need to comply with.
Okay, sir. I think that was the last question for today. We have now reached the end of this talk show. Once again, I would like to thank Mr. Kuan for sharing his insights and perspectives on today's topic and the participants for tuning in today. With the closing of episode 20, I would like to invite the participants to join the Strata conference 2022. On the 2nd of July, uh, for those interested in joining, you may scan the QR code displayed on the screen. And once again, thanks again for joining, and we hope to see you in the next one.
Thank you, everyone.